Hello everyone. I would like to welcome you to today's session organized by VODAN Africa. This will be the 23rd installment of the Metadata for Machines workshop, but this one will be a bit different. We will have some cool stuff about to happen in like 15 minutes or so. Actually, I've forgotten to introduce myself for anyone who's new. My name is Charles Kahiro, and I am the Creative Director at TravelWorks Africa. So for today's session, this will be a VODAN Africa milestone event where we'll be taking a look at how far we have come, as well as how we plan to go forward. We'll be doing the querying for the FDPs for the first time. So everyone should be patting themselves on the back right now, or at least soon after. Let's not jinx it. We will also have a panel made up of our country coordinators and our main support teams that helped get this rolling over the past few months. And we'll also get to hear from our sponsors and partners of the VODAN Africa project that have been with us on the journey so far. So to kick us off, I will hand over to the VC of KIU to start us off with some opening remarks before we begin.
Thank you so much, Charles. Indeed, good afternoon from Uganda, and many thanks to see all these smiling, bright faces for this day, indeed a milestone. I want to take this opportunity to state that Africa, together with Philips, GoFair, and Leiden University Medical Center partners, we've been able to demonstrate and show the dedication and experience to lead FAIR into linked observational patient data relevant to the international collaboration on COVID and infectious diseases. It's a very exciting time and moment that we are reporting now on the progress made since we started this in May 2020. One might think that we've been running for the last 3 years, but you look at the amazing value of time. No wonder, I don't know whether it is the Dutch or the British have always said time is money. The value in which we've been able to increase the time and make good value of it and produce good results is just barely 5 months, not even 5 months. So we are so glad that under this partnership, we've reached this far. We are also very proud of the progress we've been able to make, and that this presents a way forward that is very important as it shows data curation and stewardship in residence. We are able to access data and cure it, and also keep it at its point of origin. The African teams have been so interested in exploring how to contribute to this global initiative. We are excited to hear the report of where the project is now at this moment, where results need to be reported. I wish to say that we are so grateful to Philips, so much that it would have been quite a challenge for anybody to jump on a non-motional train, you know, a train that is hasn't started its motion, but we jumped on it, and Philips facilitated this initial entry, and look at where the train has taken us this far. So the seed money provided by Philips actually allowed this to happen, and we can't forget to thank them this much. And I want to say that this journey has been worthwhile. I'm sure all our global partners are coming to us because we've been able to stick in. And also I want to thank all the technical teams, the advisory teams, and each one of us in our capacities. Congratulations. I want to say that as the presidency, the chair of this presidency, I want to say it's a historical moment. Nowhere else have we had this happen. And I'm sure this is a demonstration that this is truly historic. And I want to say that each one of us should pat themselves on the shoulders. Since it is virtual, we are not together. It's a landmark, and we are writing history. on this particular day. Nowhere ever before has this been done, not even across in our Royal Netherlands, and we are so proud. Please do register it in your diaries, a very historic moment, and I thank you so much. Back to you, Charles Kahiro, to moderate the rest of the program.
Those were fitting remarks for today's session. I believe everybody is proud that we are here today and what we are about to witness. At the very beginning of the journey, I believe it was around April, March there, Eric used to use a key phrase saying, we are building this plane while we are still flying it. And I will hand over to Francisca to show us how much of the plane we have actually built so far and how, which portions are left. But I believe we are all in the plane already and we are good to go. So Francisca, over to you.
Thank you, Charles. I can see Professor Miriam, she is being so excited since 12 o'clock today, and I'm going to tell you why. Thank you so much, our Vice Chancellor, for that very beautiful opening remark, and you're always inspiring as always. So I'm going to be showcasing, I'm going to be speaking about how far we have come in VODAN Africa, how much our sponsors, our partners, our friends have helped us and encouraged us. In a story I'm going to title From Zero to Hero. I know Eric understands this and he's always smiling every time I say this. So there was a COVID crisis all over the world and the entire world, including Africa. We're not prepared. We're just hearing about some virus somewhere in China and then it hit us. And as consequences, we had fears, disruptions, offices were closed, schools were closed. But for us in Africa, the COVID it came as a crisis, but it gave us opportunities to change the way we learn, to form new partnerships, to collaborate with other countries, among ourselves as countries, and then with partners abroad, to experience something entirely new, to do a different kind of science. And then Africa came to realize that, yes, the entire world were looking for vaccines, we're looking for cure, but we can help them. We can provide data that are trustworthy, whose origin is known and protected by the laws of those countries in Africa. And it gave us an opportunity to share knowledge, to learn new things, to bring Africa right into the center of the fight against the COVID-19. And therefore, this child of necessity, VODAN Africa, was born. We have the GoFair Foundation to thank for this, and Professor Miriam, who brought us together. Like, we were nowhere. We were full of so much fears, and now we're out of school. What are we going to do? Where are we going from here? And we started looking at some critical points. How do we ensure data ownership, especially COVID-19 data? We have had previous outbreaks. What lessons have we learned from them? Very little, because most of the data could not be located. Many of them have been moved even from their origins, from the point of production, to be warehoused somewhere else. So how do we ensure that this time around, COVID-19 data in Africa resides in Africa? Who is going to take the lead to ensure that data collected at KIU Teaching Hospital is resident in KIU Teaching Hospital? It is governed by the laws of Uganda. And then if there's going to be collaboration, it will also obey the laws of the countries we're collaborating with. How can we ensure that data from Africa will be able to strengthen health systems in Africa and around the world, so that hospitals in Europe, in China, in the USA, and every other part of the world can learn from the healthcare data with respect to COVID-19 that are resident in Africa? How can we ensure that Africa becomes a huge resource of data that are verified, data that are findable, that are accessible, that are interoperable, that are reusable, that are machine actionable? How can we continue to build capacity in artificial intelligence based on data, to work on new tools, to improve on existing tools? And then VODAN Africa came to answer this question, to provide these services to Africa and the rest of the world. And on the 19th of March 2020, there was a press release all over the world, including Telemundo, that there is a new partnership in Africa, supported by the GoFair Foundation. GoFair Foundation planted this seed. They were not even sure how viable the land is, but they put forward the fund. And from that March, we continue to attract new partnership, new sponsorship. Philips Foundation continued to provide the sponsorship for us after the initial seed. And then we had GoFair that provided the technical backup. And we have the codage, we have the FMO, and most recently Google. And of course, the San Diego Supercomputer Center gave us a platform to take our message to a wider audience. And from that time till now, we have not stopped. We have formed partnerships across the 4 critical regions of Africa. North Africa, we have the University of Sus in Tunisia. And of course, in Nigeria, we have the IBPUL University and the Data Science Nigeria and Olabisi Onabanjo University. In Uganda, we've had the Kampala International University together with the teaching hospital. We have the CEST Kampala, and of course, the Ministry of Health of Uganda also endorsed us. In Ethiopia, we have the Mekele University and the Addis Ababa University that brought their hospital into the network. Zimbabwe, we have the Great Zimbabwe University. And in Kenya, we have the Tangaza University that installed the first COVID-19 fair data point and brought in 3 different hospitals in the country. And of course, Moi University has been knocking on the door, trying to solidify their place in the partnership. And across these countries, these different countries in different regions, we have formed these partnerships with universities, with hospitals, and endorsed by the different ministries of health in these countries. From March, when we started from nowhere, and then we have the first inaugural meeting of the VODAN Africa project on the 21st of April. We spent most of March, from the 19th when the initial announcement went out, to the 20th of April, trying to put the team together, try to approach more members for new partnerships. And then we had the first inaugural meeting. Even at that meeting, many of the data stewards were still asking me as the coordinator, what are we doing? What are we learning? Do we need anything? It was like a ground zero. Even I, as a coordinator, at that time, I still didn't really have much idea of what direction. So like Eric would say, we were building the plane while flying it. We're putting together our knowledge, our expertise, our experiences to put the project into a good start. And the first metadata for machine workshop, the first technical session on the VODAN Africa was held on the 28th of April. And then 30th, we installed the first fair data points. We still couldn't go into production deployments, but we're doing local installation. And we also had the GoFair Foundation webinar at the San Diego Supercomputing Center. Still, with the support of our sponsors and technical partners, we moved to May, and we continue with the weekly technical webinar hosted by Eric from the GoFair Foundation. And we had more FDPs. At that time, the KIU FDP in Uganda went into production deployment, and all the other countries installed locally their FDPs. And we continue, we had the platform from the San Diego Supercomputer Center to host the VODAN Africa webinar. So for 3 weeks, in addition to our technical sessions, we also had to go to San Diego in California to have our webinar. And we moved to June. That was the middle. It was a 6-month sponsorship by the first Philips funding, and then we came into June. And what is going to happen? After everything, we had one icing on the cake, the establishment of the VODAN Africa Foundation to solidify our partnership with our partners in Europe and then the members of the network. We're also excited, but we also knew it that we still have a lot to do. We still have not been able to run the queries. We have not been able to even go into productions properly with COVID-19 FDPs. And then we jump into July, still continuing. And the VODAN in a Box was launched by GoFair Foundation, and VODAN Africa became the first to install COVID-19 fair data points worldwide on the 22nd of July 2020. And then it was all over the place. And there were so many emails, congratulations, requesting for partnership from different organizations in Africa and from all over the world. And since that very first installation, we didn't rest. We continued to install more. The following week, we installed another one in Nigeria, and then we stayed in West Africa and installed the second one. And we quickly came to Ethiopia and installed 2, and then moved to the north of Africa and installed 1 in Tunisia. And then we have 1 in Zimbabwe, which is not into production yet, but now has been locally installed on the campus of the Great Zimbabwe University. That took us to September. And one very significant thing, after the first guided installation by Louis and Kes, VODAN Africa data stewards led by Miriam Basaja has been doing the installation all by ourselves. It's real life installation, real time. We don't install and come and show. We do it right at the Tuesday webinar. When we fail, we get up again. We keep on deleting, reinstalling and installing. But every webinar, we make sure we complete the installation. And after the installation, we started putting in the COVID-19 data. And today, as it is, we have FDPs on COVID-19 installed in all the countries in the partnership. And we're so excited because now we're going to run queries. Eric F. from LUMC is going to stand there and query the VODAN Africa FDPs. And Miriam Basaja today, right before your very eyes, will sit virtually in Uganda and query all the other FDPs in Africa and that of LUMC. You're going to see it in a few minutes. And one other thing, because of this so much achievements, the VODAN Africa is a very beautiful bride. Everyone is cutting us. And today I'm happy to announce that the formation of the Data Stewardship Competency Center between VODAN Africa and Leiden University Medical Center. Now we're going to train more data stewards. We're going to bring more people into the PEN network. It's so exciting. So, from that little beginning of ground zero, Philips Foundation expressed that trust in us. No foundation, not even sure how fertile the land is. They gave us the funding. And here we are today. We have 37 data stewards across different countries. Formally, we have a lot of data stewards who are not formally enrolled in the VODAN Africa program. We've had somebody from the US. We've had somebody from Australia. We have some African students who are graduate students in Europe who attend our events every week. They don't miss it, even though they're not formally part of the VODAN Africa project. We have 7 COVID-19 fair data points installed in production with COVID-19 data in there ready to be queried. And today we demonstrate the Europe-Africa queries. And of course, now we have the DSCC between VODAN Africa and LUMC. It's really an exciting one for us. Our team, we're so strong and we're so united in diversity. Normally when you hear artificial intelligence and data science, what comes to mind? Oh, computer scientists. But within our team, we have biologists, we have graduate students in computer science and IT, we have environmentalists, we have people involved in hospital records management, we have virologists, we have medical doctors, we have an artist. Actually, our servers were set up by a fine artist. We've been able to build capacity up to that point that everybody now speaks fair, breathes fair, expresses fair, artificial intelligence ready data. And we have our platforms. We operate on Slack, we're on OSF, we have our own website. We set up all this by ourselves. And every Tuesday, nothing stops us. We meet on Zoom every Tuesday. So we have the fair data points in every corner of Africa, in the north, in the west, in the east, and in the south. Thank you to all our sponsors for helping us to achieve this. Thank you, thank you. Part of what we're going to do today, in addition to showcasing our achievements, is to also specially thank our sponsors, because without them, there will be no viability for the VODAN Africa project. Thank you. So I'm going to hand over to Eric and Miriam to demonstrate the queries. Thank you.
Thank you, Francesca. Let's taste the pudding, the proof of the pudding, as they call it. We will do it from 2 fair data points, so from Africa and from Europe. So, and if you can have a good look at the numbers, so we are counting patients, you can see that you actually get the same numbers. So that's what the purpose, of course, of this demonstration is. I will now share my screen. Let's see where it is. Yes, I would like to, is it already there? You are sharing screen, it says. You all see it now? If it's right now a table.
Yes, you can see it.
Yes, we can.
Because before you start this is not a one-man job or one-woman job. You have to get together a lot of people, and that is what we're calling a data competence center. And those are the persons who were involved from day one and work together. Okay, so this is the first step. First, we have a working document. You are now viewing our working document because we have to start from Greenfield, of course. We got each other's addresses, of course. We have an agenda, but this is the page I would like to show you, because here, in fact, you can see all the FAIR data points that are now running, up and running, and that we try to connect to each other. It's still ongoing work. It's not working 100%, but we are succeeding. It's getting better all the time. So what I'm now showing to do is I will start with the Greenfield. I will point in fdp.lumc.nl. You can do this in this evening if you like it. This worked without an account, so you can demonstrate yourself for your own community. What happens if you comes to the FAIR data point? This is a test situation. Of course, we don't use real patients, but these are all test data. So we are now going to the one CRF there is, and now we are going to the COVID CRF. And we have made a query, a spiral distribution, and that will connect the FAIR data point with the triple store, so whether the real data is stored. So now I will access this, and what you can see is now we go into the Edograph web view, and we have made a demo query. This is this one. You can see here it's all very technical, but you must believe me. We have put in several data points. From here, not all, because we want to guarantee that this demonstration would work. We are now demonstrating, of course, the principle. If I execute this, it was already done, then you could see this is what he sees. He sees the number of patients from KUUT and from Entebbe Great Hospital and LUMC. The other ones are test databases, but for this demo, they are not valuable. What we now presenting is that you, with one click of your mouse, you can access the databases in 3 countries, and instantaneously you get a result. Now, from this point, this is from one side, it's from Europe, from the Netherlands. Now I will ask Miriam to do the same. So I will stop share my screen, and now you can take over, Miriam.
Yes, so I'll show the demo from the African FAIR data points. Let me share my screen now.
You have got another query. We let that in that way because then we can demonstrate different queries can run from different countries.
So this is the Ugandan FAIR data points. So we'll go through the different layers, the case report forms, and then you can access the allograph. And then, so this is the query. It was already done. I decided to save it for the demo. And as you can see, these are results from the different hospitals in Uganda, LUMC. If you compare the results with the one Eric just showed, you'll see they're similar and all accurate. So yeah, that's
it's a very tiny query, but that, of course, we did it on purpose. Hopefully this proves to you that it all works, and the trains are running between the countries. They stop at the stations and they get the results of the query, and well, you can see them in one view now.
Yeah.
Eric, Mariam, may I just, if I may, just to make it clear for everyone, there's a lot of data and metadata on these fair data points. And I think it's possible to write quite some complicated Sparkle queries here that would really constitute some pretty serious analytics over this collective data. And so indeed, this is a great demonstration, but imagine then just including additional variables and being able to parse this data in sort of arbitrarily complex ways. And then I think it gives you the feeling that the Sparkle query is quite a powerful mode of analytics over these federated data systems.
Yeah, well, another point to mention here is that we have now transferred knowledge to our IT department in the LUMC. And well, the result of this query is that the IT experts built those queries with help of data scientists. So now they can do this job by themselves. So now we have the IT department fully involved in the whole FAIR implementation process.
And just to add on, the query interface has an anonymous user, so anyone from anywhere can literally carry out a query and question the different data from the different countries. So, which is a great achievement, honestly.
Yeah, well, you can't save them, those are anonymous accounts, but if you cut-paste the coding into this field, it will run. So what Eric said, you can check yourself how other queries and if the results are fine. So you can play with it.
Yes, just a statement from my side here. I'm Bert from the GoFair Foundation. What's important here is that the data is stored locally.
Yes.
So the data is stored locally in all these different countries and all these different fair data points. And one of the mantras which we always preached was the data should not leave the country without the permission of the data owner. And so it's important, and we see that also in many aspects where let's say where the privacy is crucial, that the data stays in place, that they stay in the country under the guidance of the data owner. So that is, I think, the important elements for the people who have not been on all these workshops, that they understand what is so special here.
So I think I'll stop sharing my screen.
If there are any questions, please ask them.
I can see Professor Van Rijsen already has a question in the chat box. I don't know whether she wants to ask it live. Professor?
No, I didn't have a question. I would just like to congratulate everybody. This is a really huge achievement. Congratulations to Mariam, Francesca, Eric, Bert, well done, and everybody else in the FDP's excellent job. And so good to see this proof of concept. Now at least we understand that this works and that we can keep data in residence and visit these data over the fair data points. Thank you, Charles.
The same sentiments are echoed widely. If you check the chat box, congratulatory messages are overflowing. I think it's a great job you guys have done. There's a question by Mary Adams. I think I'll direct it to Eric and Mariam in terms of how would you define the role of the data steward?
Yes, perhaps I can answer that. The role of the data stewards is that, well, we have three types of data stewards. People who know policies, who know how to make a link to the organization, people who know everything about data, the data verification experts, and really the hardcore IT experts who can build it. So those three must come together and they must work together and understand each other. And well, this is the first time we did it in a data competence center form, and it worked. It is a team now, and we have an agenda now of a lot more things to do, because this is only a starting point, of course. And I can immediately say that the second question is, can you query only the COVID-19 clinical data? No. Yep. This demonstration, because the fair data point is there, we are now busy internally connect other data sources that are in relation to the University Medical Center, the NFU in the Netherlands. They have separate projects, and Zonway have separate projects. So we will now add and connect other sources within the LUMC to the fair data point. So in a way, this is an infrastructure, a basic infrastructure that can carry all the data you want. As soon as you have your CRF and your fair data, you can connect those to each other. And that's a technical challenge, because there are a lot of existing databases that must be connected. So you are not putting all the data into the fair data point, into the triple store that's there, but you are connecting them with other protocols to other databases. And that's where we are in a parallel projects. I'm busy trying to fix that.
All right. I think there is no better segue into the question session for the panelists. I believe we can all be involved in this, not just the panelists as well. If we do have any comments or questions or follow-up questions on the same, we can feel free to contribute. So the panel more or less will be composed of the country coordinators and some VODAN support team. And for my first question, I believe Francisca is going to put it up on the screen, but we will be pushing it to someone who has been working in the background. I think we have all seen him on the emails, but we have never even quite heard his voice. And that would be the project lead, Fred. So Fred, feel free to say hello. But Fred has done a lot of work in the background, and we'll be pushing to him this question as one of the people who has dealt a lot with the country projects and has a unique view of how the country projects work. So we'll be asking him, which is question one, what has been the biggest challenge you have encountered with regards to the implementation of VODAN Africa projects in the different countries, and what would you suggest as a solution to overcome some of these big challenges?
Okay, thank you everyone for making time to attend this historic session. I am Fred, and I'm very excited to be part and parcel of the team. Now, concerning the question, one of the biggest challenges that we've encountered in the implementation of the VODAN Africa projects, from my own assessment, when we started earlier on in April, it was very clear that yes, we were building a plane while flying it. And that statement was a very heavy statement in that it actually opened our minds to the fact that yes, there would be certain gray areas in the course of this journey. But then the good news is that everybody was open to basically trying out new bouncing questions left, right, and center just to get clarity of where the project would go. But with regards to challenges, the challenges which actually popped up was the buy-in, which is what you call maybe the political end of the project, in that yes, this was a new project that we were introducing in different countries, and some of these countries had their own infrastructure health-wise that they were implementing. For instance, in Kenya, I was seeing they were running the DHIS program, And the question that came up a lot of times was how different this one was, and whether it's a new one, or how are we going to integrate this project into the existing structures that were currently being run. Now, the good news is I'm very proud of the country coordinators, because all of them actually were able to sell this project effectively to their respective countries. And for some that actually faced a little bit of resistance here and there, were able to basically demonstrate what is on offer and be very clear to the authorities that the data will basically will be held up in its country of origin, which was to some extent a concern. And in addition to that, this project is actually adding value to the existing infrastructure, and will be able to help shape policies and ideas going forward whenever there will be anything of this nature in the near future, even as we manage the current existing challenge. Other than that, the other challenges were teething ones, which were able to be handled effectively in each country. Thank you, Charles.
Great. I can see Anna Amani has raised her hand. I don't know whether you have a follow-up question. Oh.
Yes, thank you, Charles. I have a question, a general question.
Yeah.
And that is, I've been hearing about it. First of all, bravo to the team. Congratulations to all. We're very proud of you. In terms of how the data is being collected, so say I'm writing an article about impact of COVID in East Africa, and I'm trying to talk about how the data is being collected if I get it from this particular source. Is it dependent on practitioners? Are they querying databases? I was just trying to understand. I remember there was a big announcement about being machine readable. So I was just trying to get some more clarification around the actual data collection point.
I guess I'll direct the question to Eric and the technical team.
Oh, I can also answer that, Charles.
Yes, Professor.
If you don't mind.
Yeah.
Anna, the point is that what we have queried today is that you can see that the data can be found in residence. So behind the data is machine readable language. So that means if, for instance, we would now send a more specific query, for instance, how many of those patients have fever, the machine would be able to discover that. That is the value of what we have achieved here today.
Thank you, Professor Miriam. Yeah, that's exciting. But I was also asking about the front end, like the actual data entry. How is that happening? It's practitioner based. It's like how is this information getting in these databases? That's my question. Part of my question.
Well, perhaps I can answer this. In the LUC, we are using a project called Castor. It's a Bitinico Fair project as well. And that's the database where it all comes in and is formatted. This database is a research database. It's connected to our hospital information system. In between there is a data platform that pseudonymizes data and then feeds the Castor. So the Castor database is a database where you can feed in all kinds of questionnaires, clinical data, lab data, research data, and you assemble it there. And from there, you make a connection of certain data to a fair data point.
There are different databases for that. So in the African VODAN, we have used others than Castor, but what is important is that they are held in residence. That makes it too special. So we haven't moved data away.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, I can see Ondimo has his hand raised up high.
Thank you all. Good afternoon. This is Wandimo from Ethiopia. First of all, I would like to congratulate all team members for the leadership and coordination really, it's amazing. This platform is used apart from the installation of fair data point. It creates, good platform for further partnership, especially in Africa. As you know, one of the major, lack of the data. I think this platform in the future used as a good strategy to address, one of the major challenge of inequality in data, which is play a crucial role towards strengthening the fragile health system in Africa. So saying this, at the beginning, we have tried to install site in Addis Ababa University, Black Lion Hospital, and also in we face some, I can say it's minor challenge, like ensuring security and also public domain and server issue. We have managed that one in collaboration with VODAN team.
Ondimo, are you with us? I guess he has dropped off.
Yeah.
So we'll move on to the next question. Yeah, in the interest of time. Yes, Professor?
Yes, exactly. I'm also a little concerned about time,
yes,
because I know we still have an important program. So what I would like to suggest, Charles, is that of course it raises a lot of questions. We have 60 people on this conference today. So I would like to suggest that we move on with the panel. That some of the questions that are there are being put in the chat, and that for the next webinar, we will address them in detail.
Yes, so if you have questions, just be sure we will address them, maybe not during this webinar. We can push it to the Slack channels and all the other comms channels where we can cover it more effectively. On to the Kenya team. This question is yours. So you had some of the key stakeholder engagement challenges. So we'd like to learn from you guys, what were the biggest lessons from stakeholder engagement, and what tips could you give us when it comes to getting stakeholders to engage and to get committed to the project?
Hello.
Dr. Reginald.
Hello, Charles.
Yes, Ondimo. I guess we'll have to take your question afterwards.
My connection, yeah, okay. My connection has like to
Ondimo, can you put a question in the chat?
Yeah.
We are question number 2 for
Okay.
Dr. Reginald. Please put questions in the chat. Thank you.
Dr. Reginald, over
Thank
to
you.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I will do that. Okay.
I just want to share
Dr. Nalugala.
Stakeholders. Yes.
Go ahead. We can hear you.
Okay. So, yes, we have to identify the stakeholders. And on our side, we look at internally, these are the government, the Ministry of Health, what at the national county level. Then at the sub-county level, whom are we engaging with? At the sub-county level, we're very likely involved with the different groups that are working in the area of healthcare. Then universities, especially like University of Nairobi or University.
Dr.
Please
I think we lost Reginald.
I think we have lost him. So we move on to the next team. I guess it's the Nigeria team now.
Yes, can we ask everybody to mute, because there's some people who have background noise, please.
Nigeria team. This question goes to you guys. So the journey has had its ups and downs, and we would like to learn from you, from your experience. What would you say is the one thing that you would have liked to do differently You know, what is one thing that went well through the journey or better than you had expected? And what is one thing that you would change if you had a chance to redo it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm here. And Dr. Abdullah too is here. You know, we're two from Nigeria.
That's fine. You can choose who wants to give
No, we'll answer both. We'll answer together. But let me just say, looking back at the journey so far, what we would have done differently was that, you know, initially the challenge was the clinical data that we couldn't get right on time. And later we were able to improvise, and we could get some other COVID-19 data. And, you know, and we were so happy that we could actually create, we could actually create catalogs and data sets and distribution for such data. And another beautiful thing was the FDP installation, because we had problem initially trying to install on Windows. The operating system was giving us problem, but later we were able to resolve that, and we eventually got Ubuntu software to do that. Then the creation of the non clinical data on the CRA. The webinar that we have most week actually also helped us, and it created a good path for us to implement most of our assigned duties. Dr. Abdullah.
All right, yes. First of all, I want to congratulate all the team and the partners.
Dr. Abdullah.
Yes, I'm with you.
Okay.
Yeah, the one thing that went very well for us as a team is we were lucky as a university. We have been part of the state and the country team of the COVID-19. So collective guidance and carrying all personnel along was very, very nice for all of us. So that effort of having all stakeholders on board for every decision, technical drive and challenges made our journey smooth and almost seamless. So example is the live installations. I really give kudos to all the technical teams for the way they took everybody all along and made us know, and also a way of learning new skills and also appreciating all of what we have learned earlier. So I must say kudos, and this is part of the journey. So moving forward, I want to suggest that most universities or organizations should liaise with their countries or the main people in position, particularly as it regards to pandemics and any other data collection, to make it seamless and easy to move. Thank you so much.
All right, on to the Ethiopia team. I believe Getu is still with us. This question is for you guys. What vision or roadmap do you foresee for the implementation of fair data across the continent and as well as globally? What do you think the key milestones for this roadmap would look like?
Thank you, Charles. Good afternoon, everybody. Well, first of all, I would like to say congratulations to all. This journey was really exciting, and as well as it was challenging. So the vision that we foresee for the future is to form a platform that allow us to make data more discoverable and interoperable. As a result, this will enable us to ask new scientific questions and do new experiments by integrating data from different fair data points among African countries or across continents. I would say the the key steps would be, first of all, we have to continue the training by involving more stakeholders and countries in Africa. The second, we need to find a way to integrate FAIR principles with existing health information systems, like DHIS2, for example. So legacy electronic medical records. So we need to find a way to integrate FAIR principles to the data that are stored in these systems. The third would be, we may, I believe it would be very important to push the FAIR principles forward if we involve FAIR principles as part of data science in undergraduate or graduate courses. So these are the steps that we need to take to have successful continuation of the FAIR principles. Thank you very much.
Those are some great insights, which will serve as a good segue to my next two questions, directed to Eric, who has been with us on this journey from the very beginning. One of the main things is that we have seen a lot of FAIR being implemented in the research space, but which other industries are benefiting from implementing the FAIR principles?
Hi, Charles. Yeah, I can keep this pretty quick. We have seen a lot of interest coming from governments and ministries.
Yep.
And I can speak from firsthand experience here in the Netherlands. We have interest from both like the RIVM, which is the equivalent of the Center for Disease Control in the Netherlands. We also have interest from, for example, the Ministry of Water, which is a big deal for us here in the Netherlands. But these are just two examples of, I think, where governments feel the weight of data on their shoulders, and yet at the same time, a huge responsibility for that data. So they're an early mover in this. The other, I'll just say, is kind of another example. The pharmaceutical industry, independently in different companies, there's sort of top to bottom interest in FAIR. And so there's a large investment going on inside of individual companies. We were aware of that for the last couple of years. There's now an interest among industry associations, for example, the Pistoia Alliance, to then begin to explore what does it mean for the industry to go FAIR as a whole. And we will be holding meetings in October and November where we will be working with the Pistoia Alliance and its members to begin exploring what that question looks like in detail. So there's two examples from different sectors that are interested in FAIR.
All right, governments and pharmaceuticals so far. I remember at some point...
Charles, this is Bert. Can I throw in one more?
Yes.
There's a lady on the call at this moment. She's called Mary Adams.
Yep.
And she is from a company called Sustainable Rescue. And what they are trying to do is to get a grip on the trafficking of human beings all over the world.
Yeah.
That's another great example where the data cannot leave the countries for obvious reasons, and where you need to get grip on that data through a federated structure. So this whole area of, smuggling people and trafficking of human beings, that's another great example where you can apply these same principles and these same structures.
Yes.
Charles, let's go then to Tunisia with Dr. Mariam and Morgan, who have just been collecting those data.
One last question actually to Eric while we have him, which was question 6 actually. So they had implemented a lot of these initiatives. I remember at some point Louise was highlighting that you're doing the same thing in Latin America. What lessons can you share with us from those implementations, the same ones you're doing in Europe and in the USA with us here on the continent as we try to expand?
Yeah, indeed. So I would say we don't have initiatives quite like this one anywhere else. I think what we see in the Philips project is really quite unique and like really cutting edge. But I would say what we see with an interest from Latin America, in particular Brazil, and our Go FAIR colleagues in the United States, they're based in San Diego. So we see that the interest in FAIR is really quite idiosyncratic. You know, they sort of move from their strength or from their own particular needs. So we see the deployment of FAIR and the interest is being very much contingent on the place and the time, which is to say that I think FAIR is quite amiable to solving problems in many different contexts. I think one thing we can expect, though, is that there is an ongoing interest in not only computer interoperability, but obviously human natural language interoperability. And if we can get data to be machine readable, it's really just a matter of mappings that can take you from Portuguese in Brazil to maybe Spanish and American English in San Diego, to Dutch in the Netherlands here, and then to any of the amazing languages that we see throughout the African continent. So I think this is also, we shouldn't forget that if it's interoperable for the machine, it's really ultimately interoperable for humans as well.
A unique use case for Tunisia. I believe we have comments from them. Mariam?
Hi, thank you, Shakis. Greetings from Tunisia, and congratulations for all VODAN team. I have to highlight that we are so proud to be in this involved in this project. So can I say something about the first question and the fourth one? About the challenges that we encountered at first, I have to highlight that we have mainly two challenges. The first one is about how the difficulty to convince some stakeholders about the importance of sharing and the verification of data. And the second one is about the collection of data. As you know, we deal with specific data which are related to migrants, and so we have to move to make interviewees with this special category of persons. So the challenge, this challenge was overcome thanks to the perseverance and the courage of Morgan. So we have this data, this particular data about migrants. Concerning the fourth question about the roadmap for the implementation, so as I said about the difficulty to convince some stakeholders, we have to try to sensitize these persons about the importance of data, and we have just to explain to them that, as Bert said, data will be will stay in the location, and just we have to make it more accessible for all persons around the world. The second fact, the sharing experience, and especially sharing success stories about verification can have a positive impact when we demonstrate the benefit of this process. And the third element is to continue to the build of capacity through workshops and with continually monitoring and regular assistance of all the teams involved in this special implementation of this process. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for that. Actually, if you have noticed, you've answered the question on the screen as well, in terms of things that we can do to facilitate adoption of the FAIR data principles, whether it's via elevating visibility or trying having more workshops where we can increase the interface of people with this kind of information. It's going to go a long way to help. Now, as much as I would like to continue with the panel, I can see we are strapped for time. So we will have to move the last few questions into a other discussion forums, whether it is Slack and the others where we can continue to generate activity from them. And we are going to move to the next part of the session where we are offering a thank you video. Actually, it's Francisca's team that has done a lot of work on it from VODAN Africa. A thank you to all our friends and sponsors.
Thank you, Charles. Professor Miriam, just before we say thank you to our sponsors, I will also like to say that in addition to the Vice Chancellor, we have 3 Deputy Vice Chancellors from Kampala International University attending this session. We have the Deputy Vice Chancellor of Finance and Administration, Professor Janice Businge. We have the Deputy Vice Chancellor of Academic Affairs, Professor Tayo Arulogun, and the Deputy Vice Chancellor of Research, Innovation, Consultancy and Extension, Professor Chukwemeka Deji. They have honored us with their presence. And still part of the university executive, we have the Chief University Librarian from Kampala International University, Dr. Priska is also here, and the Director of Higher Degrees and Research, Dr. Walda Rajab, is also here with us, just to acknowledge them and recognize their presence. So we have, as a team in VODAN Africa, we come together to make this locally. Like I said, we do produce most of our stuff ourselves, actually all our stuff ourselves. So we have made this video to say a very, very, very big thank you to our sponsors and our friends. Enjoy.
And there we have it. Good job from Obina. We can see his credits at the end.
Thank you, Charles. So I'll hand over to you to lead us to the next segment of the program.
In the next section, first of all, I'd like to apologize that we have gone over the 1 hour mark. We will do our best to finish promptly. Hopefully in the next 10 to 15 minutes, we can be done. So we don't end up keeping you for too long. For now, we're moving into the section where we get to hear from our sponsors and guests. And to start us off will be Bart, who has been with us as well on this journey from the Go Fair Foundation. I know he has a presentation that he would like to give. So Bart, over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Charles. And I'm not sure if I'm going to do a real, let's say, slide presentation, because there might not be enough time for it. I can share my screen for a moment, if that is doable. I wanted to show this, because this is, I think, what we really have achieved as a team. And it illustrates a little bit this concept of, building the plane while we are flying it. So for the people who have not been part of this journey, what we've basically done, and I'm going to go through it very quickly. We started with a semantic model in terms of this case report form. Then we started to build the fair data points, because simply we want to be absolutely sure that the data stays locally under the control of the data owners. And we also wanted to transfer the information through train-the-trainer type of sessions, so that ultimately it would be no longer driven from Holland or from another country, but that the whole African team, the entire worldwide team, could actually run with it. So these are the things that we were trying to do. Now, in terms of, building the plane while we're flying it, we noticed a couple of things. When we started, we said it's not findable enough. So we added a number of things like call home function, search index. It's a bit technical, but it improved the findability. Also in terms of, okay, how do we get this data input from patients then? We said, we need a wizard. So we then asked the team to build a wizard. We may need not only patient data, but also other data. Like for instance, the data about these migrants that were just mentioned by Mariam. So we said, okay, then we need more templates. We need metadata templates, and we engaged a US company called CEDAR for that. So these are all things that we actually added onto the plane while we were flying it. Ultimately, of course, we came to the proof of concept where we showed distributed learning. So you have, locally stored data, and you run a query over all these things. And we packaged it all up in a concept which we called VODAN in a box. So this really as a team effort. So it was with the African teams. I've been on, I think, 21 or 22 of these calls every Tuesday afternoon. And it was great to see how, over 7 countries, 2 continents, people could work so well as a team. So that is what I wanted to share.
I think those are some remarkable comments from the GoFair Foundation lead, but who has been with us, as he has said, over very many metadata for machines workshops. I think at some point, a good number of individuals dropped off and then they came back because of how long the journey was. But now we have reached, I guess, a proper milestone. I don't know whether we can hear from all the other sponsors, if we have representatives, whether it's from Cordaid, Philips, Google, KIU itself. If you want to say something, now is your chance.
Yes, I think that some have left because we are a little bit over the hour, but Martin is still here. He might like to say a few words. Martin, you have been very much part of this journey.
Yes, hello. Let me also try to, have my video. Thank you, Miriam, and thank you, Charles. Well, I've been very much part of the journey, but also partly from the side, because when it comes to all the technical work, I think that that you've been doing, I think you've already achieved a lot under the first phase of the project, which you call the Philips project. Seeing the achievements today. As I also put in my comment, it's okay. It may be a very small patient sample, and it's just a test, and just the numbers of 13,411 to someone who just joins a webinar. It may not say much, but I think if you know the story behind it and actually what the query is doing, and on which work it is building, it's a very impressive achievement. So I think that is really great work that has been done. Now going into the next phase of the project with the further expansion of the network and also the further development. I think it's a pleasure for Cordaid to come on board, as a partner in this next phase, together with the GoFair Foundation, with Philips Foundation, and with the co-funding from the FMO, the Dutch Development Bank. So. Thank you, and congratulations to everyone.
Thank you for that.
And Charles, there also is a message from Jasper from the Dutch Development Bank, who writes, I have to leave now, but again, congratulations, and thank you for organizing this event. Great to see so many people, which is true because we had 60 people at the height of it.
Yes. And thank you to all the sponsors and all the VODAN Africa partners that have enabled us to achieve this milestone over the past few months. If we do not have any more comments from the sponsors, I hand over to Professor Mariam for final closing remarks.
Thank you, Charles. First, let me invite Eric to say a few words. You've been very much part of this journey every day, Eric, and a very strong counterpart to all of us in VODAN Africa. So please, we would like to hear how you feel today.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Miriam, and thank you everybody for this wonderful journey. We started, in great haste in March and really got going in April with this. The metadata for machine workshop concept was really quite immature at the time. This was metadata for machine workshop number 4. We've done a couple more since then for the Danish groups, but this has been an evolution over the last 6 months, not only of this workshop format, but also the development of the fair data point, of how these things actually connect to real world users. And all of this has been done, echoing Bert, with a really dedicated, very committed, very trusting set of team members that, you can see them on the call now, reaching 35, 40 people in number, which is pretty extraordinary when you think of all the diversity here. Just to maybe punctuate this, in 6 months since we started, I see that just yesterday or today, we reached the 1 million mark on the COVID fatalities. So if you can believe it, right, there's 1 million people that are not here now that were with us at the beginning of this journey. And so we shouldn't lose sight of the urgency and the real purpose behind all of this technology. But I think this is a great moment to just pause and to really congratulate ourselves and to feel very, very positive about the outcome so far. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Eric, and thank you also for putting ourselves back into this context, which is really one where we have to act with a lot of responsibility. I would like to, it's nice, my name is spelled like Mariam. We have so many Erics and so many Mariams on this project. I have a really large list of people to thank. And before I do that, I would also like to just remind ourselves that this achievement is really very important in terms of what it aims to achieve, in terms of the context in which it tries to do so. But also to connect two continents, Europe and Africa, or Africa and Europe, that historically belong so much together. And I just can't tell you how proud I feel that we have achieved this, because I think that this is much, much larger than just what we did technically achieve today, which in itself is a pretty big achievement. But if we look at what made this possible, then it wasn't necessarily the coding, it wasn't necessarily the technical aspects, but it is because there is something in FAIR that really resonated, and that is that data principally belong to the data subject. And that's a very easy thing to say, but it is a very difficult thing to translate into practice. And we have a world in which generally data really belong either to the corporate sector or they belong in some kind of way to the state. And this idea that actually the way in which we should curate data and take responsibility for data has everything to do with how we organize the relationship between government, the private sector, which is so critical for the economy, and citizens, is really what is underlying what you have achieved here today. And what you have achieved here today is also a big thing, because these are two big continents and Africa quite a little bit bigger than Europe. If you look at the Gold-Peters map, then we will see that, you know, some of the countries like Nigeria are probably as big as the whole of Europe. And sometimes here on the calls, we had this kind of confusion. Shall we talk about Africa as a country? No. The way in which we have been able to connect throughout this very large continent with all its diversity, with all of its own cultural and political environments and realities is really a very big achievement. And I think that the leadership from VODAN Africa to connect as universities with government, with ministries of health, with hospitals, with clinics, and with those working in those situations to relay the importance of working with digital data in a different way of thinking as something that belongs to us, that we should understand, that should guide our work, and that should help us to create care and responsibility for our people. That conviction is really what has carried this process. And there was a question that came here today from Dr. Sakinat. Is this truly an interdisciplinary program? And it completely is, because it is only when we can balance the governance, the regulatory framework, the cultural framework, and then all of the technical aspects that we actually can move forward and make sure that all of this can be kept sustainably. And so it really is a truly, truly historic achievement, I believe. And I think that it is very much a proof of concept, not that we can technically do it, but that actually this is a proposition that is worthwhile, because if we can do this between Europe and Africa, it can be done anywhere. And I think that is the importance of what we have seen here today. And that includes working together as teams. I was just so happy when Eric Flickenschild, but it could have been Eric Schultes, said, you know, we really have become a team. And the Data Competence Center that we have established today is a team across 2 continents. And so with that, I would like to quickly go through my very long list of people to thank. First of all, Charles, Ivy, and Faye from Revelworks, who have really supported this process and the outreach week in, week out with a lot of dedication. Then Margot and Ronald from the Philips Foundation. Really, without that early seed money, this would not have been achieved. Christina and Martin, Jasper, who just really tirelessly looked at how we moved this on in the next follow-up of this, together with Han, who was very much an early mover to create the enthusiasm for that. And Megan from Google, who also put her trust behind this. Then Christine from the data center of supercomputing in San Diego, who made us also proud to be able to present in this prestigious place. Of course, Bet, Eric Schultes, Marek, Mark Musen, John Graybill from Stanford, Robert Perlk, all of these technical and not so technical people who've been so very, very supportive. Then Frederick Obanda, who connected everybody, and Christina and Simon, who have done a lot of the work quietly in the back. And then many from many different places, both within universities, within ministries of health, and within medical hospitals. And I'm going to forget people, but want to mention Dr. Chindanya, Dr. Araya, Albert Mulingwa, Professor Sakinat, Abdullah, Data Science Nigeria, Dr. Reginald, Dr. Mariam, Morgan, Wondimu, Gitu, and then the technical support, Putu, Aliyah, And then a very special thank you for Mariam, who has just made this kind of her life's work. And we just congratulate her so much on the achievement today and wish her well to defend this further as she moves forward in her PhD. And then I absolutely have to give a very, very, very big thank you. First of all, to the Vice Chancellor and the DVCs from Kampala International University, who really, really carried this project and made it their own and given so much leadership to it. And then, well, the very last I really should thank is Professor Francesca. You know, Professor Francesca, you've just been so wonderful. You've been leading when when it was necessary to have that leadership. You've been in the back when things needed to be done in the back. You've been connecting. You have been looking at all the different aspects of this journey. And what we achieved today is really your achievement. And I really think that I speak to all of us on this call when I say, really thank you for what you achieved for all of us here today. And with that, I would like to hand over to the Vice Chancellor to do the final close of this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Miriam. Actually, I was enjoying your closing remarks, and I knew this would be the last. But let me also take this opportunity to thank you in particular. I know you are modest, you don't want to be appreciated so much in public, but I want to say that here in Africa, we do believe that certain people have luck in their hands. And I think, although you are in Europe, I think you have some African luck as well in your hands. Because for the last 1 year, plus a few more months, we interacted with you. You brought all of us together. And I want to thank you so much, most sincerely. I want to thank Han. I expected Han to make a comment, but I know he's been one of our critical points and a pillar, a great pillar actually, and even in the subsequent projects. So I want to thank him. He's been present. Sometimes we've been meeting at night, sometimes during the day, trying to see how we move forward. May I also take this opportunity to thank Charles, who has moderated this program, and also our partners in the other projects, the wider projects, the NOFIC projects from Somalia, South Sudan, Sudan. We would like to welcome you on board. And indeed, hopefully, you should be able to be part of this team along the way. So I want to thank you and congratulations once again. We expect Francisca to do as she usually does, to have some press release. We should go viral and people should be able to know what we've been able to achieve. I want to inform this gathering that just about 10 days ago, I was invited at the inauguration of what is known as PRESIDE. PRESIDE is the Presidential Scientific Initiative on Epidemics. And so His Excellency the President has actually put some seed funding in this initiative, and I was invited to give a talk, and I did mention the efforts from VODAN Africa. And it was amazing. That only 4 vice chancellors were invited, and KIU was one of them. And I did communicate in that big meeting where the Right Honorable Prime Minister of this country was the chief guest, and also the Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation was. And so there are so many opportunities we can actually tap in, and I'm hoping that this effort will open all the opportunities for all of us, for the benefit of people in Europe and also in Africa. I thank you once again and have a lovely evening. Bye-bye from me.
Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you so much.
Okay, bye.
I believe there's a beautiful video again, which I think we can all enjoy while we discuss.
Okay.
From my end, I would like to thank you all and appreciate you for taking the time to be with us here. As always, we are going to record this webinar and we are going to put it up on the various VODAN Africa communication channels, whether it is on the YouTube channel, the website, Slack, and will also be shared on the WhatsApp groups, or at least the link that is. Be sure to join us next time. I won't say next week, but be sure to join us next time. All communications on the next meeting will be done on the various VODAN Africa channels. So I do suggest that we move to those channels after this and continually to try and push the discussion and to help facilitate, continue the discussion on fair data as we usher the next phase of this great project. Thank you again for joining us. Enjoy the video.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. Thanks. Great meeting. Thank you, Charles.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, everyone. Bye. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
You.
Bye-bye. Thank you.